We are now in Chapter 3 of Rape of the Mind by Just A.M. Merleau, M.D. Medication into Submission. As we have already seen in the preceding chapters, it is not only the political and Pavlovian pressure that may drag down man's mind into servile submissiveness. There are many other human habits and actions which have a coercive influence. All kinds of rumors have been circulated telling how brainwashees, before surrendering to their inquisitor, have been poisoned with mysterious drugs. This chapter aims to describe what medical techniques, not only drugs, can do to reach behind man's inner secrets. Actually, the thought-controlled police no longer need drugs, though occasionally they have been used. I will touch upon another side to this problem as well, namely, our dangerous social dependence on various drugs, the problem of addiction, making it easier for us to slip into the pattern of submissiveness. The alcoholic has no mental backbone anymore when you give him his drink. The same is true for the chronic user of sedatives or other pills. The use of alcohol or drugs may result in a chemical dependency, weakening our stamina under exceptional circumstances. In the field of practical medicine, magic thinking is still rampant. Though we flatter ourselves that we are rational and logical in our choice of therapy, somewhere we know that hidden feelings and unconscious motivations direct the prescribing hand. In spite of the therapeutic triumphs of the last 50 years, the era of chemotherapy and antibiotics, let us not forget that the same means of medical victory can be used to defeat our purposes. No day passes that the mail does not flood the doctor's office with suggestions about what to use in his clinical practice. My desk overflows with gadgets and multicolored pills telling me that without them mankind cannot be happy. The propaganda campaign reaching our medical eyes and ears is often so laden with suggestions that we can be persuaded to distribute sedatives and stimulants where straight critical thinking would deter us, and we would seek the deeper causes of the difficulties. This is true not only for modern pharmacotherapy. The same tendencies can also be shown in psychotherapeutic methods. This chapter aims to approach the problem of mental coercion with the question: how compulsive can the use of medical drugs and medical and psychological methods become? In the former chapters on menticide, I was able to describe political attempts to bring the human mind into submission and servility. Drugs and their psychological equivalents are also able to enslave people. Dependency on the drug provider. Not long ago, I was asked to give advice to a couple who had marital difficulties for a long time. Although at the time of their marriage the husband and wife were deeply in love, each had brought to his adventure of happiness the wrong emotional investment. She had expected him to be a kind of Hollywood hero, an eternal gallant dedicated completely to her. He had been touched by her childlike dependency, but secretly he had hoped she would be mother, nurse, and companion to him. As might have been predicted, neither partner lived up to the other's expectations. Both were bitterly disappointed, and neither realized what was wrong. After a while, the wife became a whining, complaining nag. There were daily scenes, arguments, and recriminations. The husband began to seek solace away from home, with women he had known before his marriage. Soon thereafter, the wife found herself unable to sleep, and started to take barbiturates to bring herself the soothing forgetfulness of slumber. She became completely dependent on them and retreated into all kinds of vague bodily complaints which could be relieved temporarily by more drugs. When the husband first discovered this, he was appalled, but gradually he noticed that the drugs seemed to modify and ease the discard of the relationship, or the discord of the relationship. Under almost constant sedation, his wife was no longer a shrew. Indeed, she was no longer even interested in him. He discovered that he had much more freedom and could spend his evenings and holidays as he chose, as long as he provided her with the wherewithal for those magic pills that had restored peace to their home. But one night the wife took an overdose of barbiturates, and it looked almost as if she had attempted suicide. This nearly fatal occurrence aroused all the husband's guilt feelings, and he sought medical and psychological help in an effort to discover what had gone wrong in the marriage of two people who had felt so much initial love and goodwill. This is only one of many cases in which the sleeping pill and drug habit covers up deep-seated, unspoken unhappiness. The growing dependency on easy escape into a soft and mild-appearing sedation and oblivion is an evil we must recognize. The general increase in the use of sleeping drugs is alarming, and the number of suicides resulting from barbiturates is growing every year. Nor can we look at such a phenomenon as simply a medical problem. Dependence on alcohol, barbiturates, drugs, or other soporifics indicates latent and overt social fear and anxiety, and the need to escape from reality. Drugs seem to their users to be miracle tablets which provide a passive and magic solution to all problems and bring them to a point beyond the boundaries of the real world. The leader of a gang who is able to provide such drugs for his members is sure of their civility. The search for ecstasy through drugs. Among drug addicts of all sorts, we repeatedly encounter the yearning for a special ecstatic and euphoric mood, a feeling of living beyond everyday troubles. Thou hast the keys of paradise, O just subtle and mighty opium, Thomas de Quincey says in his Confessions of an English Opium Eater. Although the ecstatic state is different for each person who experiences it, the addict always tells us that the drug takes him to the lost paradise he is looking for. It brings him a feeling of eternal euphoria and free elation that takes him past the restrictions of life and time. In the ecstatic state, man rearranges the universe according to his own desires, and at the same time seeks communion with the higher order of things. But the ecstatic state has its negative as well as its positive aspects. It may represent the yogi's mystic feeling of unity with the universe, but it may also mean the chronic intoxicated state of the drunkard, or the passion of some manic psychotic states. The feeling may express the intensified spiritual experience of a dedicated study group, but on the other hand, it may be encountered in the lynch mob and the riot. There are many kinds of ecstasy: aesthetic ecstasy, mystic ecstasy, and sick toxic ecstasy. I'll stop it right there. That was part 1 of chapter 3 from The Rape of the Mind. See you in the next video.